Could everybody please mute your microphones? Thank you very much.
Hey, Bob, hey, Jason. If you all could mute your microphones, that would be helpful as we let people into the room. Okay, and I think the best way for everyone to participate is to look at the view button on your top right and put it into gallery mode. Be great. So we're going to wait just a couple of minutes for some more people to join. It's 6:04. I've got someone says the audio is weak. Can everybody hear us okay? Okay, that's good. Good to know.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, everyone. So Bob, maybe Bob, turn your volume up.
Just say got it.
Okay, we've got 43 people. We'll wait just a few moments. And all of you, if you're too shy to come on camera, we understand, but this is a great opportunity to get to know everyone too. Like I see Lorene, it's nice to see you, Lorene. We've corresponded quite a lot. It's nice to see you in person. There's Jason, Heather, nice to have you here. And hi, Helene.
Hi.
And here comes Bethany. She's having a little trouble getting in. So let's just wait just a moment. This is going to be very informal, everyone. Yeah, it's just going to wait a couple more minutes. Is there anyone else in the waiting room, Jonathan?
Yeah, I'm not going on camera.
It's okay. Whoever doesn't want to go on camera doesn't have to. But do put yourself on mute as we're letting people in. Hi, Scott. Nice to see you. And okay, I think we're about to get started. We've got 43 people and about 70 RSVPs. So I think we'll just get started. What I wanted to do is make this really informal. Oh, here we go. Jonathan, can you watch the admits, Jonathan, while we get started?
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to say thank you all for coming out. Thank you for reading all my emails. I know there's been quite a lot of email lately, and you all have been dutifully reading it and responding and engaging and coming out to our events. And I think it's really amazing. It means the world to me. As you know, I've started this as a volunteer effort, until I met Claire Higgins of England Volkers in March, and she thought this was such an important service to the community that she said, I'll help support it, because I was going to have to stop because it was a volunteer effort for so long. And then shortly thereafter, Bärbel O'Hare of Merrill Lynch Private Wealth also joined on. So I just want to say thank you very much to Claire and to Bärbel for making this possible, because I never thought that they would be this popular, to be honest with you. We had about 120 people come out last week to
Welcome back. We are so excited with all of the questions that are coming at us.
Okay, good. So again, thank you all for coming out. I know there's been a lot of Meet the Candidates. TC Palm did something. The Indian River Neighborhood Association did a great event last night at Walking Tree Brewery, where everybody got to talk with everyone. The Taxpayers Association did an amazing luncheon, and you all have done private dinners too. So this is really exciting for us to have this many people joining us today. As I mentioned, I want to be really informal, casual, conversational. We did get some advanced questions, and I think, I did share them with the candidates. So they may go ahead and address those. And if it isn't addressed, go ahead and raise your hand and we'll get those answered. And I thought we would just have maybe just a small introduction from each one of the candidates. We'll start with Taylor. That's the order in which they will appear on the ballots, the candidates. It'll be first Taylor, then Honey, then John. So we'll go in that order to keep that consistent. And just say a little something about, introduce yourself, say a little something. Everybody here is really interested in about the twin pairs, right? Because that's our big hot button issue right now. And what I'd like to say is I think every candidate should say a little bit of something about it, but let's not focus too much here because we had that meeting on the 16th of November, the same one we had last week at the community center. And of course, I'll be sending you email reminders of that too. So the twin pairs, I think, obviously each candidate will want to make a statement about that. But if we could refrain from delving too deeply on that issue alone, so that you can actually get to know the candidates a little bit more. And if you haven't looked at the replay of last week's meeting, you can look at it and we'll have another replay of the next one and also one on the 23rd. So Taylor, do you want to start with a couple of words?
Yeah, I'll kick it off for us. First off, I just want to thank you and your partners for hosting this candidate forum. There's one form of government that affects our day-to-day life. It's local government. So these 5 individuals who sit on the dais, they're pretty significant to your life and to the city of Vero Beach. Really why I'm running is Vero Beach has an uncertain future. And I believe this calls for leaders who embrace innovation while preserving its central values. If you look at all the current issues going on right now, the relocation for a wastewater treatment plant, the development of 3 corners and stopping any further pollution from entering our Indian River Lagoon, all concerns my future, my wife's future, hopefully our kids, my friends. So I've been prepared and now more than ever to be a part of this solution. I'm proud to have been recommended by the TC Palm editorial board and the Realtors Association of Indian River County for Vero Beach City Council. Irina, do you want me to get into twin pairs, or are we on to say that?
Let's just move on to Honey for now. That's great. Perfect start just to get, a little bit of an introduction, and we'll move on to Honey, a quick statement from you, and then to John. And wait, go ahead, Honey. And then John, before you start to say something.
Irina, thank you, Jonathan, Claire, Barbara, for having this event. You really represent a lot of civility in this community. And of course, it's nonpartisan, and that makes us a very special community. Just by way of who I am, it doesn't really get discussed. I was raised with a very strong ethic. My family came here from Finland, and my grandparents had a very major influence on me. I was raised with the value of education, hard work, honesty, just a very, very ethical kind of life. And it was always a matter of, if you can help someone, please do it. I mean, that's how I was raised, and it's what I've done in my life. I see something that needs to be done. I can do this. I tackle it. I have a goal. It's accomplished. I move on. There is nothing egotistical about it. And this is what happened when we moved here with our children in 1989. I started asking questions about all this growth that was going on, and that was my learning curve. And from that point on, I became very involved. I was president of my homeowners for 9 years at Vero Isles. I served on a lot of committees in the city, got to know a lot of people, was able to do a lot of things. And that's what public service is all about. It is not a stepping stone. It's no longer a learning curve. I bring my experience, my strength, everything, historical knowledge and facts to the table. And thank you. This is a wonderful venue. And thank everyone for participating and for being here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Honey. And John, everyone, most of you know John Cotugno is our incumbent mayor. And I see a lot of new faces here, John. So a lot of new faces, and that's great. And I think maybe what you could do is just give a very quick overview of where we are with some of the, or just talk about what the important issues are. And later in our conversation, everybody can weigh in what their positions are in those issues too. But I think if you could just ground us quickly on where we are.
Introduction of like who I am.
Of course, first that, and then if you wouldn't mind giving a little bit of that. Although
No,
I think everyone most know you.
Sure. I retired here to Vero Beach in 2018 was elected to city council in 2021 and then elected mayor in 2022. I came from a long career in the electronics business, especially in the semiconductor business, for the last 40 plus years. I came here as a public servant to serve after having spent so many years in a private sector. I believe in my public service. I had been an advocate for public policy for the Alzheimer's Association, where I advocated both to current Senator Kroll, Representative Brackett, Senator Mayfield, and of course Congressman Posey. And because of that, that advocacy, I was appointed by Governor DeSantis to the State Health Improvement Program for the Alzheimer's Association. 2019, I had the distinction of being both on the Utilities Commission, where I served as vice chairman, and later, and also on the Three Corners Steering Committee. With that background, I ran, migrating over to the city council provided me the opportunity to use the skills I learned in corporate America of melding different ideas into consensus and driving that consensus for the betterment of the community. So that's kind of my slight background here prior to becoming a city council member. The issues I think facing our city council, there are a number of issues. Some of them were carryover issues from previous city councils, and actually they're not issues. I'd like to consider them to be opportunities. Of course, we have Three Corners. Three Corners. I began with Three Corners in the beginning. Was part of the steering committee. I see Vicky Gould's online here, who was the chairman of our committee at that time, and also on the utilities committee. Excuse me. And that's a key part of the future, which Taylor referred to is going to be the Three Corners project. How that project impacts Vero will be significant, and it will be long lasting for generations to come. But what is a key part of the Three Corners, which I don't think it's neglected, but sometimes slightly overlooked, is the transfer of the wastewater treatment plant. That to me is probably as key, if not even in some instances, even more so than because it leads to the success of Three Corners. We cannot have Three Corners without a successful transfer and movement of the wastewater treatment plant. And I know Taylor currently serves on that committee, and it's the Utilities Commission is a very important committee because what is happening with that plant is monitored by that committee and is monitored by City Council. It's very important that, as highlighted today in the Utilities Commission meeting, that the shovel goes in the ground next summer as promised, because that's going to have a significant impact on how we develop Three Corners. So we've now progressed to a marina renovation, the refurbishment of the marina, which has begun. We're also looking at, the downtown master plan, which will be launched. We have put it into the budget this year. We'll be launching a downtown master plan sometime right after the new council is sworn in. A key part of the downtown master plan is the revitalization of Pocahontas Park, which is a public-private partnership that I initiated began with Piper, and also it's beginning with Main Street USA, and of course the Source, which is a very significant contributor to what is going to eventually be the success of the revitalization of the park. We then progressed to the Jimmy Graves complex, which is kicking off, and if anybody's driven by where the football stadium is, you can see where the Jimmy Graves is. They're starting to put the shovels in the ground, and which is a great opportunity for our city, because that city made an investment in that, an investment that I championed, and the city council climbed on board. And it's a very important investment because it's going to be the only fully inclusive playground in an entire Indian River County, which is a great opportunity for our city. So those are I think the highlights, and of course we've got the Twin Pairs, of which what is happening with the Twin Pairs and the discussion points that have been going on with them. So sorry to run a little long there.
No, I think that's a good grounding for everyone. And I know that, most everyone here if you can give a show of hands. Does everyone know how to give a show of hands? Jonathan, can you teach everyone how to give a show of hands?
Yes, so to give a show of hands, you'll see in the menu on the bottom of your screen a little button that says reactions. And if you click on that button, you'll see a bunch of emojis, but you'll also see a big button that says raise hand. If you have a question, just keep your hand up and we will ask you to unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yeah, I guess what I'd like to know is, who here is most interested in understanding about more, well, I was going to say the twin pairs, but I think it's pretty evident but that we have that, if we ask questions, if you could raise your hand, or if you have a question and you want to sort of comment on something that one of the candidates is discussing.
I'm not on my
raise your
computer,
hand.
so.
Yeah, Bob Fowler, you might want to put yourself on mute. So I guess maybe what we should start is very briefly, everyone wants to know each of your positions on twin pairs. So Taylor, why don't you start? We'll just keep in that same order. And Scott Bayman has raised his hand, or was he just practicing? If you want to say something,
He's raised his hand.
If not, Taylor, why don't we begin with just a short kind of sense of how your position on twin pairs, because that seems to be what people really care about. And Bob Fowler, if you could put yourself on mute, or Jonathan, you can do it. Okay, there we go. So Taylor, if you could begin, that'd be great.
Of course, I'll take it away. Irina, if you look at some previous forums that were held, my position hasn't wavered. I haven't been that favorable with the narrowing of twin pairs. It was great, though, to attend the public workshop that was on October 5th. I really enjoyed hearing some of the comments made. It's tough for me to wrap my head around. One of the biggest issues is the parallel parking along a street where some may be going, let's say, 40 to 55 miles per hour. That was tough for me to comprehend. I was really a big fan of the comprehensive plan that our mayor and Miss Manous, when she sat on the city council at the time, passed. And, if it ever came back to that, hopefully what I hope is, there can be a little bit of both, where we address some of the concerns that the citizens are making right now and take another look at it.
Great, and that's what we're doing. I don't know if all of you had a chance to look at the email that I sent out 2 days ago, and if you haven't, you can check tomorrow on letstalkvero.com, and you can go ahead and read that and click. You can ask more questions that we are submitting to Kimley Horn, because what we did notice is a lot of people who were once very much against the narrowing of twin pairs have come around a little, but we've also noticed people who were staunchly for have readjusted their opinion. That and the same thing with the parking is what we're hearing too in our correspondence. But, so I think it's, rather than just looking at one thing, it'd be great if we could look at several things and how they intersect with the master plan and the retail study. And so if you could go ahead and look at letstalkvero.com. If you can't find it in your email, we'll have it in the update section, where you can click on and see the most common questions people are asking, because it is complex. And you can then click and add your own questions to that we will be sharing with.
Just to tell you what I'm also
Yeah, see if you could put yourself out. There you go. So you can ask more questions, and we're going to be sharing those with Kimley Horn prior to the next meeting on the 17th, so we can start to distill and refine some of those complex nuances and get closer to something that the entire community will embrace. So Mahani, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yours.
Sure. I know some of these questions that you distributed ahead of time, it's what's your position? Yes or no? No excuses. And let me just go this way. I do not like the idea of the lane reduction. And let me explain why. When FDOT accepts a project, it goes on a schedule, and basically this involves budgeting for the project. Maybe it's 20 years, it comes down to 15 to 10. By the time it reaches 5 years, that budgeting is pretty much in place, and they can start working on what's necessary, studies, that kind of thing. Well, after all of these years, what FDOT did was they had us on that 5-year schedule, and council at that point made the decision to do what I call the 3 Rs. That road is in disrepair. So it was going to rehabilitate, resurface, and then just simply restriping it to allow for more safety. Not reducing lanes, but narrowing lanes, because studies have always been consistent that if a lane is wide, people are going to go faster than a lane which is narrower. And that's going to allow for narrowing those lanes now will allow for more safety for pedestrians, maybe bikers, that kind of thing. Now, the problem is, if we were to go ahead and reduce lanes, that's not being budgeted. So that is pushing it back. And I've confirmed this now at least 7 years. And at this point in time, it's going to be $2 million more than they had budgeted. That's today. Who knows what 7 years from now, what it's going to be. So we don't know that. And what's very problematic in thinking about maybe reducing these lanes, or let me put it this way, if these lanes stay in disrepair and they're not being rehabilitated, resurfaced, restriped, they're going to have people there who do not want to travel on these roads, and they're going to be looking into adjacent neighborhoods to reach their destination. They're going, and that is not safe for the neighborhoods. Absolutely disapprove of that. And so I would like to see the lanes stay the same, possibly, do the narrowing. And then as we put together the master plan for downtown, there's a lot to be considered about the effect that it'll be part of the entire process. What are we going to do with the Twin Pears as far as the downtown master plan is? And, it's like putting the cart before the horse. And I always use this expression, you act in haste, you repent in leisure. So I would like to see us go forward with the way rehabilitating, resurfacing, and restriping. Let's work on a master plan for downtown, and let's let the three, the consideration of what we do at Twin Pears at that point. So thank you. That's huge, huge question. It's been going around forever. We finally had a way in which to deal with it, and I think we need to go ahead with it. Thank you.
And so, John, if you could say a couple words, and I know that you've been diligently working on the whole, the 3 legs of the stool, the master plan, the retail study, and how it intersects and works in concert with the Twin Pears. So let's hear what you have to say.
Thank you. I think the issue with the Twin Pears, as far as we can trace it, dates back to 1970, and it's now into its 2nd generation. Actually, it's 2 complete generations that try to broach the Twin Pears issue, and I don't know if you want to come up with a solution, but come up with a forum where the Twin Pears can be discussed amongst the community, amongst the citizens of Vero. Henceforth, why it's been dubbed the Zombie Project. So it never seems to die. The issue, I think, the aspects of both what Taylor and Honey mentioned, I think are incorporated in why I believe the process that we're going through is the right process. I voted in the previous council for the plan that we thought would be adopted, but then was brought up again to be readdressed. And I saw that not as an issue, but I saw that as an opportunity. I saw that as an opportunity for a number of reasons. After that vote was taken and we were going to head down another path, I decided to do investigations and do some research. And that's how I found about researching the various minutes, how long this project is going on. But then I started to talk to some experts of, what the impact of addressing the Twin Pears would have on our downtown. Because I've always, in my campaign, had always been previously an advocate for what I call the revitalization of downtown. And a traffic study is always needed when you're going to do a downtown master plan. So although an investment had to be made to readdress it, I thought it was going to be, I considered it to be a good investment, an investment in time and effort, and also knowing that FDOT now requires outreach to the community where it never did before in any previous locations. It became something that I could see where we could get some input from the community and get a feel for where the community was heading. Talking to the experts, listening to people at the last forum, the key here is safety. Safety is the most important thing on the Twin Piers. Narrowing the lanes, providing on-demand crosswalks and locations which are not currently provided were key to the previous discussion points. So those discussion points, I think, are still tantamount in our decision-making process. The reduction of the speed to a 30-mile-an-hour speed limit will increase the safety, and will increase the feeling of safety, and you say just the overall optics, and also the hearing, the noise factor that permeates sometimes when you're standing on the corner. When we took the walking tour with Victor Doer, it was very difficult to have a conversation when people are speeding by at 45 miles an hour, and sometimes even greater. So those are the important factors. Safety is tantamount. And when you look, and I had mentioned it before in the beginning of the last meeting at the community center, there's objective data, there's subjective data. The objective data by Kimley Horn is collected, and they give you all the statistics.
About call Mike or text Mike Matthews.
And they give you all the statistics, and statistics are fine, but you can interpret statistics the way you want to interpret statistics. The subjective data, which is hearing from the different neighborhoods that surround the Twin Piers and what their feedbacks are, and what they believe the impact of their neighborhoods are, to me is as important as the objective data. And the outreach we had, I was very happy about the outreach we had at the community center. It was very civil. A lot of ideas were exchanged. What I found out with the Kimley Horn study, that this parking impact is probably not as great as many advocates thought it would be. Only about 25 to 27% of the 52 parking spaces that were made available were actually within the downtown, you want to call it the downtown zone where retail and entertainment takes place. I think that's because of how FDOT has to design a road and spacing between intersections and safety requirements. And that came forward. And I think that had a profound impact on a lot of proponents of increased parking when they actually understood where this parking is going to go and the impact. So to me, the reduction of lanes on the Twin Piers is something that I would like to refer back to the previous councils and their decisions. I think it was probably at this point in time is a decision that was based in fact. I think we need to hear more back from the community on this. I think the continual discourse that we're having proves one thing.
Right.
That community center meeting, the one thing that I came away from the meeting, no matter what side of this conversation you're on, it was that there was a profound caring of what we want to do with downtown. Whether you're on the one side of the argument or the other side of the argument, people believe that their downtown is important to them. It needs to be revitalized, and it needs to, let's say, take on a more pro-pedestrian, pro-neighborhood feel to it. So to me, that's what I believe our city council is tasked at the local level as part of our public safety and quality of life commitment at our level to deliver to the citizens. And that's what I think.
I'm going to interrupt you because I just want to make sure that everybody has a chance to speak. I do appreciate your comprehensive description of everything that's happening because you are so immersed in the details and the nuances and the complexities. So I think that helps everyone understand a little bit more about what's happening. And I hope you all understand, you all have a good sense of where each candidate stands on the matter. If you don't, go ahead and ask each candidate another question. If you want to ask Taylor or Honey a little bit more about how they feel, if there are any questions that someone wants to ask. There's Hembrock. I don't know. I know that you may have a question. I don't know who that is, but I'll call you out by name. Is there something you'd like to ask? Okay, I guess that's a no. So that's that. I think we covered the twin pairs, and again, the twin pairs is going to be deeply covered again on the 17th, and there's another meeting, MPO meeting on the 23rd, and all those dates are available at covb.org, and of course, we send you all those emails. I send a lot of emails and no one asks to be deleted from the list, so I assume that you appreciate them. I sometimes worry I'm spamming, but here we are. So are there any questions?
The MPO meeting is actually on the 25th.
Okay, great. Did I put that here? Yeah, that's the MPO, Twin Piers MPO meeting at 10 a.m. at the County Administration Building.
All right, it looks like Scott Bayman has a question.
I do. I'm still not clear. Honey's position on the twin pairs was pretty clear, but Taylor and John, I'm not sure whether you're for it or against it at this point in time. And I'd just like to know just a yes or no, how you feel about it.
Taylor, why don't you start, since we're going to go in that order.
Of course, no.
Thank
So you are no for what?
For narrowing Route 60. That's
So-
the right now.
Okay. And John?
As I mentioned before, I don't like overturning previous city council decisions that were made because you get yourself into a do loop. I provided the platform for the citizens to get feedback and to get data that would be updated so people will get a better understanding what this is entailing. At this point in time, I stick to what my statement was. I don't like to overturn a previous city council's decision. So that decision was to, and so everybody's, I don't know, say clear, but to be succinct about it. This is what, under the previous city council, this is what would happen. The lanes would be narrowed. A bike lane, which is required by FDOT. So we can't eliminate the bike lane, even though some people may say that having a bike lane is dangerous as State Road 60. FDOT requires a bike lane under their new design guidelines. So there will be a 7-foot bike lane. There will be a on-demand crosswalk right approximate the location where Jetsons is. That's to help people traverse from the municipal parking lot and the general parking areas of that location across the Twin Piers. We had requested and were at time rejected by FDOT to put an on-demand crosswalk at approximately 16th Avenue, approximately where the courthouse is. I believe that with further discussion with FDOT, we probably would get an on-demand crosswalk at 16th because of the demand that takes place with the courthouse and the various sundry things that happen at a courthouse and that type of thing. So that's what. So that's what I'm the proponent. I was willing to listen to people who wanted to have additional parking put in, but based on the argument so far, I can't see that being executed, which would give the impact that the business, the people who are advocating it for, were looking for at this point in time.
So I guess what people really want to hear, but what we're hearing in the chat, John, is that people really want to hear whether you're for or against the plan as it is states right now. And I would like to just say from the work that we do here at Let's Talk Vero is to encourage everyone to listen and engage and go through the entire process, because the people are really the people. We've got a huge community that wants to engage and understand the nuances and the complexities. So it's important, I think, to listen to what the people want and don't want. And that's what we're doing here. And there are a number of people here who don't want it, clearly. And that's fine. But I think we have a process in place. We have 3 more meetings. And I think it would be premature to say, I don't like anything that is being proposed. That's my personal opinion, that we are all about getting engaged and informed. So, and my understanding is that this, what's on the table right now could change.
It could change, but based on a preponderance, you want to do this, I love this. Based on a preponderance of evidence as presented, it's to this date, the original city council proposal should be the proposal that we execute, which was what I described. It did not include parking. It did not include elimination of a lane. I want to be very specific. Just to say, see, to me, as a person at the local government level, I believe to be a successful person at this level, you need to listen to people, no matter whether you agree with them or disagree with them. This process has provided the ability for the council and the people who are candidates for the council to listen to people and understand where a decision was made prior, what people are saying now, and what points to the decision made in the future. To me, to come in with a preconceived no prior to this discussion, I think is unfair to the citizens. We listened to that during this whole process. The first meeting that we had last week at the community center and previous meetings and my individual discussions with merchants, not only just citizens, but with merchants. I've had one today with a merchant downtown. Okay. One-on-one.
I think that we could spend the entire evening.
Is that's where your decision is made. The decision is made, and why that is. And I think personally, as a local official, and I'm the only elected one here, is that you owe that explanation to someone. You just can't say yes or no. And I'm not begrudging Taylor or Honey with their yes or no answers. But in my position, I believe I owe the citizens an explanation why I give a yes or a no.
Okay. So let's move on from this discussion, because I think we could, go the entire evening and discuss it. And everybody who still has more questions and concerns, I urge you to come out on the 23rd and on the 16th and really down to this.
And everyone wants to discuss one-on-one with me. You know how to contact me. I'm available to discuss with any merchant or citizen at any time.
Okay, so do we have are there any other questions that anyone would like to pose?
Looks like Vicky Gould has a question. Please unmute yourself, Vicky.
I would like to ask all 3 candidates if they truly think that a town of less than 200,000 people needs 7 lanes of traffic going through downtown.
Okay, let's answer this one question and then let's move off Twin Pears. Okay, can we agree to move off Twin Pears onto other issues? But if you guys could quickly answer that one question, Taylor. Just repose the question. Do you believe 7 lanes are necessary through a downtown? Is that what your question was, Victoria?
Yes.
Okay, so Taylor.
And she mentioned that we have a population under 200,000, but it's expected that Indian River County is going to exceed a population of 300,000 by the 2030s. Now, this isn't going to happen in the city of Vero Beach. We're really built out. We're seeing massive growth out west, up north in Indian River County. But at the same time, those people, they utilize our roadways, or they go to our restaurant, they spend money in Vero Beach. Those are our stakeholders. So, Vicky, you're great. I like you, but my answer to your question.
Honey?
Okay, I didn't understand.
So could you ask the question again, Victoria?
Yes. Oh,
Vicky, you made the comment about our city. You're talking about the county population.
no, no, no. I am talking about the county and the city together. And also what Taylor brought up, if I could just add one little sentence to that, is that all of the experts have said that we have capacity
Yeah.
through the roof until 2045, but yet it's frustrating that people keep saying what they're saying. And really, I'm going to make a comment, and I know it's question time. I'm disappointed in all three of you, and I have to just rethink my whole situation here, because we've been working on this for decades, and this is yet another non-movement among elected officials. Okay, I will mute myself now.
Irina, real quick, just to say something real fast back to Vicky. Vicky, if you want to pursue this, my recommendation for you is figure out how you can put up barricades, put up cones along Route 60, and then see this perform in real time. It's one thing to be presented with a presentation and to see that data, but for me, I like seeing it in real time. Let's put it to the test. Let's see what happens.
I'm fine with that.
When people get in a car, they have a destination. Where are they going? A lot of people will use State Road 60 to get over to one of the bridges and go over to the Barrier Island, or they'll get onto Indian River Boulevard, go north or south. If they want to go downtown, that's a different situation. Maybe we need to do some kind of study that said when people get onto State Road 60, where are you going? You know, because, and again, it's my big concern, if we don't do something right now with rehabilitating and, you know, resurfacing, that road's going to be in terrible condition. And so we're going to have all this impact into the neighborhoods. When you have growth going on in the county, the biggest impact is to roads. 80% of the impact goes to roads, and it's shared with schools. So this is major. This is absolutely major, and I sympathize with your feelings. I wish there was one simple answer to it all.
But what I would like to say, you know, many of the things that you all are saying about population growth or, you know, speed and narrowing and all that, I mean, this has been, I mean, the data shows that it's possible. So some of the things that you all are saying, data refutes. And I think that's very, very important to get to these meetings and really understand. And I really want I want a very official Q&A document that clearly answers all of these questions that are very good questions, and the concerns are valid. So I am hoping that Kimberly Horn will look at and I hope you all will add your questions to this document. You know, is it really true? It's counterproductive. It's counterintuitive, but you actually do move more cars through at 30 miles per hour than you do at 45. That's a fact. This has been studied. It's been proven. So, and people have a fear of traffic, and I get that, but I think it's important that we all look at the facts and just come together as a community to get to the right solution. And not everybody's going to be happy. So I really encourage everyone to ask very specific questions in the form that we provided so that we can give that to Kimberly Horn so that we can have a very comprehensive Q&A doc put together and distributed prior to that meeting so that people really do understand what the facts are, because there's a lot of misinformation, there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of rumor and all of it. So please, if you have questions, put them on that form. Jonathan, if you're able to put that form in the chat where people can ask these questions. We've sent it out and we've gotten about 30 more questions. And I think the best thing we can do is to distill and answer those questions through Kimberly Horn in advance of that next meeting. So I would like to change the subject to budget. Someone said, Bill Croak asked, how do you see Vero's spending developing over the next?
Just to answer Vicky's question.
You can go very quickly. Go ahead and do that.
I mean, unless Vicky doesn't want my answer. I think she's interested in my answer. You're absolutely correct. A city of our size does not need 7 lanes going through it. Okay. The issue is, but that's not the issue. The issue is we have 7 lanes going through it. If we're going to redesign our city, or if this was, naked land and we we're going to design a city like this, we would not necessarily design 7 lanes. You're absolutely correct. The impact of the proponents for narrowing the lanes was the key reason given was to enhance parking to make people want to shop and engage in downtown.
Mhm.
Based on the Kimley Horn study, an independent study, not from the dais, the vast majority of those parking spaces, quote unquote, are not in an impact area. They're out where people won't walk. They don't walk now. They will never walk in the future. What is needed downtown is walkability. And walkability has no relationship to how wide the twin piers are. Walkability has to do with how wide your sidewalks are, how inviting they are to walk on, how you want to stop and browse and create an environment that's conducive for people to walk. And that's what I advocate for.
What's very clear is and I don't mean to interrupt, John, because I just want to move on to some other issues, because it's very clear that there's still a lot of angst and confusion about what the possibilities are and what the threats and what the opportunities are and what the costs are. And I really think that everybody needs to come out to these meetings as we distill and refine the facts. So and those 2 meetings, and we'll send reminders out. But let's talk about spending. Taylor, how do you see spending developing over the next 3 to 5 years? And what would you do to specifically manage that spending?
Well, as somebody who's taken a look at the city budget over time and time again, it's pretty lean. We have one of the lowest millage rates in the state of Florida, in the state. What the biggest thing right now is Bureau Electric was a revenue source for the city. Now we no longer have that. We're sitting on the funds that are dwindling, if not already gone. So what happens over at Three Corners would be a great benefit to the city of Vero Beach. Looking at the Vero Beach Community Complex, that's in development right now. Something I didn't know, that Vero Beach Track and Field, their field was in regulation, so they could never hold events there. And if they built the right stadium, not only track and field, but soccer, lacrosse, football could host some pretty major events that we couldn't have here in the past, which would stimulate, again, our economy. It's a lean budget. If you were to, and trust me, I've looked at it line by line, it's highlighted, but if you were to remove any current service that we have right now, you would be basically limiting the quality of life that we have here.
Thank you. Honey?
Yeah, I value our employees enormously. The law enforcement is very, very important. Adding the new officers this year, significant. Downtown on the marine, on the lagoon, that's very important. I go over to Young Park a lot, and there's a gentleman there, city worker, and he's just cleaning up all people's litter on Sunday. I mean, these people are the backbone of our community. They give us the pride and the joy that we have living here. And so I was very happy to see this year that they got that 5% increase. It's been a long time coming, and they need it. With inflation, it's huge, So I do think that our city workers are our priority. We do have the enterprise zones. They're a source of revenue. Years ago, council made the decision to limit the transfer from the enterprise into our general fund, and they cap it at 6%. I think that the Three Corners will be an economic driver. It's going to be a huge asset for our city. But all of these are, well, the Three Corners is this future. And the one thing that we really have to look at is our younger residents and providing diversity of employment and a stable tax base. And that stable tax base will help the city budget more realistically for what's going on. This is always a balance. Yeah, we do have a low millage rate, but it's a quality of life that's important here. So it's always a balance when you've got your budgeting going on. And I don't hear a whole lot of complaints about what people have to pay in taxes because they love to live here. They hate the inflation. That's what I hear. So thank you.
Thank you, honey. John?
We have the fourth lowest millage rate in the entire state of Florida for a city our size. We have the lowest millage rate for any full service city in Indian River County, and definitely the lowest millage rate on the Treasure Coast. I think we run a very efficient and effective government for approximately 300 employees. We added offices this year for public safety and some support personnel to help a planning department, which is we're putting a great amount of tasks on planning with Three Corners and Marina and Downtown Master Plan. So, and we also provided a salary increase at 5% for our employees. All this was key in determining a budget. And I think when we look at Vero Beach, there's an expectation of a quality of life. I think it's the responsibility of people who are on a city council to understand that, to understand how to run a cost-effective government. When you're in corporate America, you do one or two things. You either increase revenue or decrease costs. In this instance, as we look at Three Corners, revitalization of downtown, which would increase property values, the added income that will come from Three Corners from multiple sources, real estate values and other things. We're trying to lay a foundation with the city council to have multiple sources of revenue going into the future, so that we don't entirely rely on a current base of revenue without trying to enhance that revenue base. And I think we've done a good job in doing that. We're increasing our revenue sources at the marina as best we can based on our expansion plans. The Three Corners development, we're getting involved with revitalization of downtown. Hopefully we can execute a master plan, which will increase property values there. We're looking to promote ourselves, and again, always looking to remain a cost-effective, efficient government, delivering quality of life and safety and security to our citizens. And I think we're executing that in a complementary way at this point in time.
Thank you, John. We are coming up on 7 o'clock and nobody's dropping off this call. It seems to me there are people who are still interested in staying. So I want to do two things. I want to find out how much time the candidates have, but I also want to find out if there's anyone on this call who needs to hop. If you have any questions, if you could let us know now. What John just said, I want to ask Bob Dakin a call. Bob Dakin asked a good question about some of the crime on the beach that's taking place, and Bob Connolly had a bit interesting question too. But I just want to make sure that someone's saying, should we venture into the children's tax? I just want to make sure if there's anyone who has another engagement and needs to get off, if they have a question to ask, raise your hand now, and if not, we'll move on to some of these other questions. And John and Taylor and Honey, how much time do you have? Because it looks like we've got some interested parties on the line here.
I'm available.
Taylor, do you have a hard stop? Okay, all right. So, and John, you can make a little more time for us to.
Okay.
Excellent. All right, then I think if Bob is still on the phone, Bob Dakin, if you want to ask that question, I'll ask it. But Bob, you mentioned the Corey's broken glass from some of the kids that were on the beach. If you want to ask that question.
Well, I know that they're adding extra police after 10 o'clock at night. And I guess that's what the concern is, that there's a high degree of loitering that takes place. And it was just really disconcerting to know that gunshots went off in town, and they go off anywhere, but bullets went through Corey's windows, and I think the pizzeria there as well. And I've seen there a fair amount of loitering that takes place at Humiston Park, and just wondering whether there's the ability to say that after a certain time it's closed. I think a lot of people have raised concern about that shooting and the fact that it almost was non-existent, reported in the paper, where they report almost everything else, but
Maybe we
something
can
like
just
that.
ask each candidate to say something quickly. Taylor, your opinion on what can be done about those situations on the beach, very quickly, if you could just give us your feeling on that.
I'll try as quickly as possible. So when the council was discussing the Pocahontas Park and the unhoused situation going on over there, I did my own private research and looked for solutions, innovative solutions. And what I found, I started on the West Coast, where we see this as more of a pandemic. It's called a no camping ordinance. And from there, I actually found that similar ordinances have been passed in Sarasota. They found great success through them, and West Palm Beach. And what that no camping ordinance is, we're basically over a certain territory. So let's say Pocahontas Park or JC Park, any parks within the city. Basically, you have this time where, no loitering, no laying, no sleeping. If you're seen there, you can be removed by law enforcement. That's something that I would, eventually possibly bring back up if I got elected. The council moved in the right direction, increasing the millage rate so we can add additional law enforcement. That would help. But the way I see it, there's nothing really they can enforce right now about that no camping ordinance. It's really the two biggest things, and I have to give the mayor the credit because this is what he tells me. The two biggest things serving on the Vero Beach City Council is public safety and protecting our quality of life. Those are the two big ones, and that's what I would propose.
Thank you. And Honey, what would you propose the solution for that?
Yeah, well, the thing is, we have to acknowledge that people have been escaping their environments, like up in the Northeast in New York. We have to admit also that people are coming here from South Florida because they're not happy with the conditions they're living with. So we are seeing more of this come to our community, and what are we going to do about it? And of course, these are the social problems that happen. I'm reminded very clearly about when Young Park, when I lived in Vero Isles, what happened. Young Park was the homeless. There were a lot of disruptive situations going on there. So what they did do was they put a gate up. They announced opening and closing times, and the police monitored it. And it has turned out very well. I'm not aware that these problems have escalated there at all. So we were able to accomplish something like that when we didn't have such a large population. Unfortunately, I think we are obligated to having, more law enforcement protecting our community from this kind of a disruption. I'm not happy that it's happening here. I wish go someplace else. When Governor DeSantis brought all those migrants up to what is it, Cape Cod? No, we're not going to do that. But we need law enforcement on the issue. It's a big deal. Closing our parks and beaches and posting opening and closing times. That's important. And if they're being violated, they are subject to arrest.
Thank you, Honey. And John, very quickly, if you could give us your thoughts.
I'm going to directly address Bob Dakin's question. The three individuals were not Vero Beach people. They were actually from Indian River County, and the person who actually was shot from who fired the gun was actually from Okeechobee County. There's warrants out for one person's been arrested, 2 people. There's warrants out have been issued for their arrest. Our parks are officially closed at a certain time, and we are getting more feet on the ground at Humiston, and also we will have more feet on the ground people at Pocahontas Park, and they can be trespassed. You can issue it. You can issue a ticket and citation for trespassing. We will. In my discussions, ironically, I had a discussion with the chief this afternoon regarding what's happening at Hummiston Park, and what we're going to be stepping up patrols even more so than we've already done. We're going to be adding a dedicated person there to make sure Hummiston Park remains the park people are more used to. But I think Taylor and or Honey had mentioned the fact that the population around our city has grown exponentially, and our city is stagnant from a growth standpoint, which means there is more potential for people. As I like to say, we are the hub of the county. People come to our beaches. They come to the county complex. They come for our cultural and entertainment events because, again, we are the hub. That's our brand. And that's how, and we're going to have to pay more attention. The chief understands that. He'll be addressing that with some of the neighborhood business owners directly, and we will take the necessary steps. Combination of enforcing some of the existing laws, a combination of looking at additional ordinances to be put in place, and combination also of getting more feet on the ground. And what we propose in Pocahontas Park, we're probably are leaning also in Hummiston Park, is the installation of cameras that will be monitored at dispatch. All these things have kind of like a building block of trying to ensure our public safety and quality of life environment.
Okay, so Bob Jones, thank you, John. Bob Jones has a specific question for Taylor. And do you want to ask that question, Bob, or do you want me to read it? Okay, so he's asked me to read it, I think, unless you want to ask it. Okay, so Bob Jones says, first, I'm happy to see a younger candidate willing to get active in community service. And it was a pleasure finally meeting you and having a thoughtful conversation with you last night at Walking Tree Brewery. My concern is your level of community experience. Less than 1 year on each of the Utility Commission and the Historic Downtown Board. City Council is not the place for on-the-job training. Wouldn't it make more sense for you to have a few more years on city commissions and boards?
Thank you for your question, Bob. If I wait any longer, then eventually, the decisions being made today impact my future, and I want to be a part of that solution. I am the vice chairman on the Utilities Commission, which, by the way, I was nominated, and we have very experienced, very insightful members who sit on that commission, and I thought it was one of the greatest honors to be nominated as vice chairman. I thought it went a great length of showing that I've proven myself time and time again. This is my third time around. It's just time to pass the torch. We've seen so many these past couple city council elections. It's been all the new names other than Cotugno and Dingle on the ballot, and change is good. And if I get elected, I'm going to bring new energy, new excitement, and most importantly, action to the dais. I'm going to bring a perspective that I think we've lacked in our future, in the city of Vero Beach's future, and that's representing my demographic. So right now, what my team is doing, we're compiling a list, contact information, my friends, because we're going to have to hit the ground running. The RFP was sent out. Developers have until December to submit their proposals. And one of my biggest campaign promises is hosting town halls in the evening. So my friends, their family can participate, and we can get that input, because this project is so important. I want to get it done. I want to be one of the first to put a shovel in the ground and get this project done. It's action. If I've learned one thing, politics, it's not about entertainment or building a brand. It's about delivering on promises and actually following through with action. And that's what I'm ready to do. I want to be the candidate with action.
Thank you, Taylor. Someone asked a question earlier about something I've never heard of. the children's tax? Does Taylor, do you know what someone has asked if we could venture into discussion of the possible children's tax? Okay.
I wanted to check with John, but I'm pretty sure that has gone and passed. I don't.
It's not an issue any longer.
Yeah, it's not an issue.
Not an issue. And it would have been at the county level, not the city level. But it's no longer an issue. It's no longer even the.
Can somebody even tell me what it was? I missed it completely. Just very briefly, what was the children's tax?
I believe, if I remember it correctly, it was a tax that was going to be imposed at the county level to be distributed to 501c3s that supported certain, let's say, endeavors to enhance literacy or and that type of thing within literacy and different things that involve children, social services and that type of thing. So it was going to be used to be distributed amongst 501c3s for that type of services per se. But it is no longer an issue that has been discussed, I think, in over a year.
It has been discussed what?
It's no longer an issue, and it hasn't been discussed at all since my tenure on city council.
All right, so are there any other questions? I've got a couple more I've got one more question I think we can ask everyone. And if there's anyone, I think, Scott, did you have a question? Okay. Let's see. All right, so let's see if there's any more in here. There.
Oh, Kevin. Sorry, missed you. Can you please unmute yourself and ask your question?
Okay, maybe he has a question.
Kevin, could you unmute yourself, please?
Okay.
Oh, there you go. Right. Go ahead, Kevin.
Thank you. Thank you for the forum tonight, and glad to ask the question. As I sit here tonight, it's been over an hour, and I sense that we are spending a lot of time on the things that are not the most important things for Vero Beach, at least not in my mind. And I would like to just ask the three candidates what they think the most significant issue is in Vero Beach today, because I don't think we have discussed it. I think, to me, it's a glaring omission. I know there were some references to it, but quite frankly, I believe that the development of the Three Corners is clearly the #1 priority in Vero Beach's history, current history and future history. So why haven't we talked more about that? Because that is a priority, and not clearly any discussion on it tonight.
All right, Kevin, I would say that, John Coutinho has given updates on the Three Corners, very detailed updates on the Three Corners at every state of the city, and it's been reported. But if this is what you'd all like to have a quick update from John Coutinho on where that stands, if that's what you're asking for, Kevin, an update on everything that's happening, or is there something that isn't happening at Three Corners that you are concerned about and you want each candidate to address?
I see nothing happening, and very little in the press or communications that go out to the citizens of the of Vero Beach, and the county too. It concerns the county, and actually, I think that if you listen to the people of the community, you will hear many of them express thoughts that they don't think anything's happening. They really don't think anything's happening.
Okay, so Kevin, do you subscribe to the Let's Talk Vero newsletter?
Sure I do.
Okay, because I've sent, every time John gives an update, I send it out, and there's some stuff in the media, but I guess we have to turn that over to John to give a quick update, because there's quite a lot. There's a whole schedule that seems to be on track. So maybe.
Okay, so Kevin, the two most important projects, it's actually 1A and 1B, because you cannot have Three Corners unless you execute successfully the transfer of the wastewater treatment plant. because no one wants to have a development as we had DPZ envisioned for the north side of the Alma Lee Lloyd Bridge or the north side acreage if you have a functioning wastewater treatment plant located on the south side. So I look at this as 1A and 1B. The Three Corners project has the full attention of our planning department and the people who currently sit on the dais, and I'm sure it's going to have the complete attention of the new people who sit on the dais. Right now, no matter what you may or may not have heard, the project is moving forward on a schedule that it has laid out, and for a project that's going to be about $200 million multi-year project is on time. We are in the process of we have to modify a comprehensive plan as outlined by the state. So we're in the process of doing that by looking at both from a planning and zoning standpoint, by doing one updated environmental study, which is almost completed, traffic study for in and around the Three Corners area, which is completed and it's in its final draft review. We will then, from those studies, we'll have to go into planning and zoning because the zoning has to be changed on that side of the bridge to properly execute the plan and modify our comprehensive plan. All this is required by Florida law, and we need to follow that process. And that process is moving on time. The one delay we did have, to be quite frank, was hiring a project manager. We were about 90 days late on doing that. We do have a great project manager who's been added, Peter Poor. He has tremendous amount of experience. He is moving and working closely with Jason Jeffries in our planning department and executing the DPZ plan to move this forward to the RFP phase. The RFP, I think Taylor mentioned, the RFP is out. It's due back in December. It will then be opened up sometime when the new council is sworn in. We will start a negotiation with whatever, probably one, maybe even two contractors. You usually try to pick two developers versus just one. We'll enter in a negotiation with that developer to try to come to a contract finalization sometime in the second quarter of next year. Regarding the wastewater treatment plant, there was an update, ironically, given today at the Utilities Commission meeting, and the wastewater treatment plant is moving along. There's been a slight delay in it, but really to cut to the chase there, based on Rob Bolton's direct comment, shovel we plan to put a shovel in the ground sometime next summer. So that's like to me that's June, July. So sometime June, July timeframe, the shovel will go in the ground. That will begin the process of the wastewater treatment plant. And to me, that is key, because again, not to be redundant, that plant has to be on time for all the plans that we have for Three Corners to move along on time. So hopefully, Kevin, that kind of gives you a better update where we're going with Three Corners. If you have any more questions, please let me know.
If I could add something, Irina?
Yeah.
Okay. When Andre Dwayne came into town and he came up with this plan, they called it the standing ovation, standing up. And that plan got changed a little bit because there was some concern about putting the housing against the boulevard on the south side. The glamping was, you don't quite do that on the Indian River Lagoon with all the no-see-ums and mosquitoes. So the plan has changed. Now, and there are some, I think, very well-respected developers coming forward who expressed interest. They're the ones who are going to say, okay, this is what I want to do here. Can I do it? Is it feasible? Is it workable? And then, of course, there's a lot of permitting that has to happen, and then a final site plan will come about. We don't know what that is now. We do know that there'll be a commercial component, a recreational component, all these various things, a day dock, that boats can pull up. we don't know if all of this is workable. So it's all in a process right now. And yeah, it's a lot of quiet there because there's really no major news going on. But stay tuned, everyone, because this is really exciting. And
Yeah,
there's
and
going to be a lot of
I do provide updates every time there is a material update on that schedule. I do send that around. I've sent around the entire RFP so people can look at it. And as soon as we have some new news on that, you know, I'll and where it's made public, I'll share it with you all and point you to where you can see more on City of Vero Beach website. You can go to covb.org at any time and see all those updates. They're posted regularly.
And there's a lot of thinking outside the box about possibilities. When Lincoln Center was here and they gave that concert inside the old power building, and it was streamed live outside onto the old water tanks that we have there, and everyone pulled up like it was the old drive-in movies. You know? So we don't know what's going to happen, but it's kind of exciting to have some developers with outside the box thinking. It's going to be good. Thank you.
Yeah. It's going to be an exciting time to watch as that rolls out, and as that's in December. We start to choose those.
That's when they're due back.
Okay. Okay. Good. All right. So if there are no more other questions, I think everybody wants to get on with their evening. I'll ask. Somebody asked a very interesting question. It's a hard question, but it'd be if we all could, if you could each answer this question, and then we can close out. If you could think of one thing that makes you the best candidate for Vero Beach City Council, what do you think that would be, Taylor? The one thing that makes you the very best candidate for Vero Beach City Council?
I can answer that very easily. I've got the historical.
We do Taylor first, and then we go John. That's all right. I just like to try and keep that order. Thank you.
One thing I'm going to keep it one word too: passion. My passion.
Great, honey.
My city, I love it. I'm not going anywhere. I've got a lot of experience working with committees, working with communities. I was on planning and zoning for 9.5 years. And so, yeah, what I bring is my background, my experience, my knowledge, and my passion to the city. I love my city. Thank you.
And John.
An experienced consensus builder.
Great. Great. Okay. So before we go, I think we have Bear Bill O'Hare has joined us, and we have Claire Higgins. And again, I want to say a big thank you to Claire and Bear Bill for making these forums possible. To have people sit for an hour and a half on a Zoom call is really amazing. Claire, I don't know if you want anything if you have anything you'd like to add before we close, or Bear Bill. Thank you, Jeff, very much. Claire, if you want to say a quick word before we depart.
I just, these forums are always so informational. I enjoyed meeting everybody tonight too, by the way. Thank you. Taylor, it's the first time I think I've really had the opportunity to hear from you. And honey, while I see you at our live events, sometimes we don't get a chance to really talk. So I thank you for all of your thoughts. They're all important. And I just want to emphasize, I think working together is a really key component of this.
Absolutely.
And I don't know if Bear Bill's still on the line with us or not. Bear Bill, are you there? Say hello if you are. If not.
Can I say one thing real fast? I want to thank you, Irina and Jonathan, because I don't know what we would do without the fact that you work so hard for free to put all of this information out to the community. And I just personally appreciate it so much. And I just wanted to let you know that.
Well, I do appreciate
it. And I would like to express my thanks. I think, Let's Talk Vero has provided a platform which is informational, it's non-partial, it's provided us the ability in many venues, including this one, to exchange ideas, opinions. We may not always agree with everybody's opinion or idea or comment or direction we're taking, but it's been a platform for civil discourse. It's given us the ability to exchange ideas and communicate with the citizens and the community. And that of course is Arena and Jonathan, but I think that is also Claire and Ingalls and Boker for their sponsorship, and Bearbell as part of the wealth management group at Merrill Lynch for their support, because without that kind of support, these kind of platforms don't happen, because there is a cost involved in getting them done. And so with that said, I sincerely appreciate this forum, and I think it's something that the city has sorely needed. We don't have a communications department, and this has become kind of a non-partial ad hoc city communications department. So big thank you.
Thank you.
It has benefited our community.
I'd like to add my thanks too. This is such a civil discourse, and in the past there have been occasions where this has not been the case, and you're leading the charge. You're providing information that's not available anyplace else, and you're bringing people together, and that's important. And to you, to Jonathan, Claire, Barbell, it's a community service that goes far and above what people have formally expected before you opened up. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. I mean, I have a passion for it too. I've been, as I mentioned, I've been volunteering since we did the Speak Up Vero Beach in connection with Three Corners. We've been volunteering, and we did. The only reason we were volunteering is because we got so much input that you wanted it to continue. So we just did, because everybody was really interested. And then thank goodness Bearbell and Claire came along to power this so that we can keep it going. And I just want to thank you all for coming out and come out to our next event, which is going to be on October 24. This is really important. October 24, John Coutinho, our mayor, and Laura, council member, county commissioner, excuse me, are holding the joint workshop between county and city at 2:30 p.m. on the 24th. And that's either going to be at the library or somewhere else. I'm not sure. We're going to have those details soon. But we've decided the next State of the City will happen that evening, probably at 5:30 p.m. at Post and Vine, because it's going to be fresh for John and Laura just after they've come off this event. And a lot of you that's held during the work hour are not going to be able to make it. So join us for cocktails at 5:30 with a presentation at 6:15 at Post and Vine on the 24th, or go and do that and attend that joint workshop between city and council at 2:30 on that day. And that's that, unless anyone has anything else to say.
Well, I appreciate all of your support, and I want to remind you all that none of it would be possible without you. Thank you for having the patience to sit with us for an hour and a half, like we said. Thank you to the candidates for taking time to come on this call and, make themselves open for questioning.
Yeah. Yeah, you catching darts in your teeth. A lot of the forums, they don't ask questions. They don't allow the Q&A after. So it's brave of you all to take these questions in a live format like this. So thank you all again.
Thank you, Irina and Jonathan, Claire, Barbara.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.